Hey there, I'm Steve, and welcome to Jamsinentertainment. The shirt is a not so subtle hint of what Saturday's podcast is going to be about. Martial arts. I have on the podcast my former Muay Thai instructor, Crew Eric Carner. For those of you who are not familiar with the word crew, it is Thai for teacher, just like sensei is Japanese for teacher. Today on Throwback Thursday, we're looking at Momento, the movie that got me started and hooked on Christopher Nolan. This is one of his earlier films. I looked up on IMDb. I think it's called The Following or Following was his first film, which is a student film, I'm pretty sure. A lot of the directors I'm starting to like are like all their first films are student films. Lucas with THX 1138. I just watched John Carpenter. Well, not just watched, but I watched John Carpenter's first movie with co-written by the writer for Alien. It's called Dark Star. That's also a student film that became a movie. Momento stars Guy Pearce, Carrie-Anne Moss, and Joe Pantoliano. Guy Pearce is the protagonist, and Carrie-Anne and Joe are the supporting characters. Like most of Christopher Nolan's movies, he loves telling things out of order. And at least with this one, he tries to make it easier on the audience when he does play with time. Alright, so the movie starts at the very end. I know there are a bunch of movies that do that, but this one's different. It starts at the end and works its way backwards. But it also at some point cuts to the beginning of the movie. The way he differentiates between the two is that the end of the movie is in color and the beginning of the movie is in black and white. I mean, when it gets to the actual end of the movie, like when the time runs out for the movie, it transitions from black and white to color because it's actually the timelines are merging. But the very first time I watched this, I had no idea what was going on. Of course, I didn't know who Christopher Nolan was either. Not many people knew who Christopher Nolan was until Batman Begins. In fact, now that I think of it, the Batman trilogy he did are probably the only movies he's ever done in chronological order. At least for this movie, I know there's a reason why he tells it out of order. And I just remembered why I was confused the first time, where my train of thought was going. Alright, I was confused as all get out the first time because back when everyone had cable, so came out in 2000, I probably saw this in like 2003, and cable was still king, or queen, however you want to look at it. And somehow, for whatever reason, occasionally you would get premium channels. They wouldn't come in quite clear, but they would come in just clear enough where you could actually watch a movie. And it wouldn't have like static come in the middle of a scene or anything like that. It was the entire movie it was poor quality. I just stumbled upon it. It's like, what's this? It keeps on going back and forth between color and black and white. I was completely and utterly lost, but it was intriguing. I wanted to figure out this movie, and it took me a while to figure out what the movie was, but I recognized Carrie-Anne Moss and Joe Pantoliano. Sorry, names. I'm not good with them. I recognized them as Trinity and Cypher from The Matrix, so I just looked them up on the internet. I don't know if IMDb was a thing back in the early 2000s, but I looked them up on the internet. That's how I found out this was Memento. And so then I finally got myself a copy and I watched it. I was still confused, but I kind of understood a little more, and I did some research into it to try and figure out what this movie's all about. And now that I know, like, Christopher Nolan and his obsession with time, actually this was co-written by his brother Nate, their obsession with time. It's interesting watching this movie, interesting watching this character study, and how they go about this character study. So, the premise. Guy Pearce plays Leonard. Everyone calls him Lenny. He hates being called Lenny. So he has short-term memory loss. He can't make new memories. And that's the reason for going back and forth between going forward in time and going backwards in time. Because all the color is going backwards in time. I've seen it about 4 or 5 times, so it makes more sense to me. I mean, if you're a Christopher Nolan fan and you know that he loves playing with time and you haven't seen this one, you should be able to get through it just fine. But if you only seen the Batman movies, yeah, you might have trouble with this. I don't know. I just know I did. The reason why Leonard has short-term memory loss is because he had a wife. He was awoken all of a sudden one night in his house with his wife. She was in the bathroom, but she was being attacked by two burglars who assaulted, raped her, and killed her. And he goes to run to her rescue. He owns a gun. He kills the one guy, but the other guy must have been waiting behind the door or something, because he smashes Leonard's head into the medicine cabinet. And that's how he gets short-term memory loss. And the movie throughout teaches you about this condition. It is extremely rare. You have to have some kind of damage to your hippocampus for it to be long-term like this. The movie does point out, I've done some research into this. I've always liked psychology. That was my first major when I went to college. And every now and then I kind of pick up my studies of psychology through life. And this was one of those moments where I was like, let me look into this. Is this a real thing? And it is. This particular case is extremely rare. You have to be hit in like just the right spot. Everything has to go seriously wrong to be given physical brain damage like this. Most short-term memory loss is either due to alcoholism or drug use, like heavy drug use, drug abuse, to be more accurate. Carrie-Anne Moss's character is named Natalie, and it's easy to play someone with Leonard's condition, to string him along or to make him do your bidding without him knowing, because he only remembers things for about 10 minutes and then gone. But she's not nearly as bad as Joe Patoliano's character, whose name is Teddy, who really just screws with him something royal. The whole plot is Leonard trying to find the man who raped and killed his wife. It's difficult for him to do that because of his short-term memory loss, so he takes a lot of notes, and he also has some tattoos. He needs some notes to be permanent, to like really remind him. He has one on his chest that's backwards. He has to read it in a mirror, and that reminds him and keeps him going, or else he'd just be lost. Like other Christopher Nolan movies, he tries to leave this one open to the audience's interpretation, but seen as often as I have, I'm pretty sure is a definitive answer to this movie. I'm purposely being vague because I really recommend this movie. I only have it on DVD. I once saw a Christopher Nolan collection with the Batman trilogy, this, and I think The Prestige, but I couldn't find it because I only found it once. I should have bought it when I found it, because it had all the Christopher Nolan movies that I love. Well, okay, Dark Knight Rises isn't his best one, but yeah. That can be a whole nother topic. I'd like to get this one on Blu-ray because it's that good of a movie. 4K if it ever was out for 4K. But I love this movie. The twists and turns it goes through. You still find something new every time you watch it, and you pick up more of the clues and cues in this movie, and you just, I don't know. Oh, well, I can get back to it. I keep on getting 2 points, but never getting to the point. I mentioned a little earlier in the review that the reason why it's shot this way is to simulate Leonard's mental condition, his short-term memory loss. The fact that like every 2 or 3 minutes or so, I mean some scenes go about 5 minutes, but most scenes are like 2 or 3 minutes, and then it cuts back to either color or black and white. And each scene, some of the scenes you're mostly rewatching. It's difficult to describe this. It's a Christopher Nolan movie. It's playing with time. It's going to be really weird. I can sit here and try to describe it as best I can, but I'm not going to do it justice. If you haven't seen Memento already, go in the description below, get your copy by clicking on the Amazon link, and you'll have a blast with it. If you are familiar with Nolan and his love of time travel, or just playing with time in movies, or telling movies out of order, if you really are a Christopher Nolan fan, you will really love this one. If you have seen it already, let me know in the comments below what your thoughts of Memento were. How did you come across it, and what were your first thoughts about it? This past Sunday I was back on Twitch. I wasn't on Twitch Tuesday because I was recording the podcast with crew Eric. So look forward to the podcast coming out Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, back to Dark Forces. I finally got past that one level. Now I'm in another level. It's an ice level. And I can't seem to find my way past the entrance. It was that, and I got through 2 levels that night, and I don't have the best setup for my PC gaming, so my wrist my wrists kill me. I'm surprised I don't have carpal tunnel with all the PC gaming I did as a teenager. If you like what you saw, like it. If you think other people like it, share it. If you really liked it, hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and live your imagination.